copy, record of you making public comment. Just a brief statement I'd like to read. I want to provide the audience, staff, and board members some basic guidelines regarding public comment. Each person signed up for comment shall have 3 minutes to speak at the podium. Speakers should address their comments to the board. Any speaker may leave a copy of his or her comments with Ms. Blunt or with Ms. Jackson. Public comment is a time for the board to hear from the public. It is not a time for debate, and speakers should not expect a direct response from board members. The board will not hear issues or concerns about specific employees or students during open session. This does not preclude a parent talking about his or her own child if the parent so chooses. Issues or concerns regarding personnel or students should be primarily addressed to the superintendent for investigation. With that being said, who's our first public comment?
Byron Ballard.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Byron Ballard. I'm with Mother Grove Goddess Temple, and I'm Inca High School, class of 1974. Go Jets.
All right.
Let's just get that out right up front. I'm honored to be part of Dr. Baldwin's Faith-Based Leadership Advisory Council. We've been meeting for several months. In fact, we met over the summer, and there's been meaningful dialogue in this very diverse group regarding the 3 R's of appropriate religious expression in our public schools: rights, responsibilities, and respect. 2 informative videos have been created to guide staff, faculty, and volunteers to a place of best practice as regards these 3 R's. I want to express my gratitude to Jan Blunt and her colleagues, to Dean Shatley, to this board and the school system for their ongoing work in this area. I look forward to tonight's discussion of Policy 653 and how that may be best and most fairly implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ballard.
Centers for Ballet.
Well, I'm Ginger Stravelli. I'm a North Buncombe High School, Middle School, North Windy Ridge, Elementary School parent. I'm also the Appalachian Pagan Alliance leading priestess. And the point I want to make is, how will the students feel if we have this night or day, whatever, of religious distribution that y'all are considering having, basically to placate the churches because you made them stop doing it here in school like they always did? So my point is, what if you're a gay North Buncombe High School student and you find out that that night one of the local Baptist schools passed out a pamphlet at your public school saying gays were evil? How would you feel? Disrespected? Insulted? What if you were a North Buncombe High School witch student? My daughter leads a whole group of them at your school. She's not the only one. And what if a Pentecostal group passed out flyers, books, that quoted, "Suffer not a witch to live"? How might those students feel? Threatened? Endangered? What if you're a North Buncombe High School Jewish student and you find out the KKK, which is a Christian organization, was allowed to leak documents? How would you feel? Disgusted? Insecure? What if you were one of the majority Christian students? Because even if you add up all the Buddhist, Muslim, Hindu, agnostic, pagan, atheist students, the majority of the students are still Christian. So how will the Christian students feel when they find out thousands of books and flyers and handouts were handed out at their public school that the vast majority of favored their religion? How will those Christian students feel? Superior? Favored? So the students will all feel things they should not feel if this day of religious propaganda disputation in public school happens. But that's not why we shouldn't do it. The main reason why we shouldn't do it is because the churches can hand out their stuff on any given Sunday in their private churches. There's no reason they need to give it out in the public school. It's just pandering to the churches, compromising with them, having these meetings where you have interfaith discussions to placate them and compromise with them, when you should tell them no. I have a daughter who just graduated North Buncombe High School. She goes to Mars Hill Baptist College. It can be Baptist because it's a private school. My daughter goes there now, and she has shared with me that at Mars Hill Baptist College.
Thank you, Mrs. Ravelli. Ms. Blunt?
Christina Bowers, I think.
Good evening, Chairman Reinhardt, Superintendent Baldwin, and members of the board. I'm just going to finish that thought real quick because I know what she was trying to say. Amethyst, her daughter goes to Mars Hill, and it's a Baptist college, and she says she feels like there's less intolerance and negativity towards minority religions than there is at North Buncombe High School. So that was the point she was trying to make. My name, again, is Christina Bowers, and I'm a senior at North Buncombe High School. And I just found out about this planned religion day yesterday, actually, so I've had a little short time to get my thoughts together, but I think I know what I want to say. It sounds like you're trying to approve a plan for multiple religions to come, maybe after school, during school, I'm not sure which one you're thinking about, and to hand out or make available voluntarily religious material. And I just don't, as a student, I don't think that's a good idea. I think it would be great to have a community religion fair or religion day that you just learn about all different religions, because I mean, that would be pretty awesome. I love learning about religion. I'm in AP World History, and I think it's really interesting. And I think if you separate it from the school system and just make it a community event, I don't think anyone will have a problem with that. And I think that's honestly a better solution because, like Ginger brought up, the KKK is technically, they say they are a Christian organization, and I don't know about you, but I think if I was a principal of a school, I would feel a little nervous about members of the KKK handing out material to my students. That just seems crazy to me. And someone is always going to get offended. Someone is always going to feel persecuted or endangered and not safe at school. And I would not feel safe if associations like the KKK came to my school and passed out horrible, insulting, damning pamphlets to myself and others. I don't think it's a good idea, and I think a more community-based sharing of knowledge would be a much better idea. And I think members of the community would support that more, and you would have an easier time getting it passed. And those are the points I wanted to make, and I thank you for this time.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers.
Little Suze Ravelli.
Ms. Blunt, how many folks do we have signed up for public comment?
4 more.
4 more?
Okay,
So I'm Sybil Cicerelli, and I'm a pagan sophomore at North Buncombe High School. I'd like to start out by saying that I'm not in favor of this idea of distribution of religious literature. I was really hoping that I wouldn't have to come here again to a board meeting regarding religion in schools. I was thinking that this was really over and it wouldn't have to be a problem anymore. I really don't see why you can't just take these compromises that people are coming up with and just say no to them. It's not really a compromise, and it's just not necessary. There's religion in schools already, like there's enough religion. There will always be. Our school has a student-led campus life group, which is a Christian group. They meet before school sometimes. There was also a flagpole meeting recently, and I occasionally lead pagan rituals before school. I did one a few weeks ago for autumn equinox. And I'd also like to suggest, as an alternative, to have just a religious day or a religious kind of fair thing at a community center or somewhere not in public schools, because I don't think it should be going on in Buncombe County schools. I wouldn't feel comfortable as a student it going on, whether it was during school hours or after school. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. Like Christina and my mom has said, it'll make students, including me, feel uncomfortable, not safe even. It's just, I don't think that it's a good idea as a student, and that's all I really have to say. Thank you for this time.
All right, thank you. Ms. Blunt?
Jerry Rice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You're getting to sound like in the Buncombe County Commissioners if I reading that statement on public comment. I'd like to address the situation here. I was the one that brought to this board the concern about having a district advisory committee. And at the last meeting, I didn't address it because I didn't have time. But it was announced that they had already started and already had a meeting. I have not been invited to that. I went to the superintendent, talked with the superintendent, and gave him my opinion, and I don't feel like that I should be snubbed and not invited to these meetings. And Mr. Gregg stood here and told you what they've done. So I'd like for this board to give the superintendent a directive, because I've done been to him. So, that I'd like to be included in this, because I'm not a bystander. And the next thing is, I'm going to give you the head start. The State Board of Education, I believe, is in consideration of the governing programs and services for children with special needs policy to increase the size of the classroom, double it, in resource and in intensive intervention classroom. So the impact of that is going to be tremendous. This is not something that is just a fly-by-night word, I'm telling you. It's in the works. This is something that's going to impact us greatly in our classroom and in Buncombe County for services, as well as for special ed teachers. It's, I'll say, been dumped on for years. We don't need that. We need our kids given the opportunity to be educated in special education in the least restrictive environment. We need our teachers given opportunity not to be overloaded. And I'd like to look into this matter, because we have enough kids in Buncombe County leaving Buncombe County schools because they're not getting what they need. They're going to private schools, parochial schools, and other schools. They're leaving, and now we're trying to get them out of the classroom, regular classroom. And we don't need that. We need our kids educated. I fought for special ed, and I'm going to still fight. The State Department brings this meeting up, which I suspect they're going to, concerning this. We'll be going to Raleigh too. So I'm giving you the head start.
Thank you, Mr. Rice.
You're welcome.
You didn't use your whole 3 minutes.
That's right. We'll take it now.
Don Helton?
Well, I could probably use Jerry's few extra minutes, but I'll try not to. I was glad to see the show tonight, because in North Buncombe High School, I tried to take home economics and they wouldn't let me. That's right, folks. They would not let me take home economics. So now you got a class where if I was back in high school, I could take home economics. And see, I learned at home how to cook and wash, because my mother had to work in a camp in the summer. So I ran the house all summer long. And every male needs to know how to do that, especially in today's world. But this MRSA thing, several phone calls were made to me. And the phone calls that I made stimulated the investigation of the MRSA situation with WLOS. It did not come from this school. See, people have a tendency to call me and ask me to do things they don't have the guts to do. And that information went through about 3 different hands before it got to me. And I made a few phone calls, and there was a follow-up. It's my understanding that MRSA is very common in Buncombe County schools. I understand we found out tonight it's not a reportable offense. I understand tonight we're going to tell our coaches now they got another thing they got to do. In between workouts in the room, they got to clean the equipment down. We're supposed to be teaching people to be responsible citizens, so I talked to the nurse outside. And, Tony, you need to write this one down. I said, isn't there some kind of rag or something like they have going into the grocery store that the individual using the weights could wipe them down before they use them? Let's teach them responsibility. Let's don't hush this stuff up. Let's educate them. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And let's use that, and if that's possible, she said she'd check we can get back, so that's her job, not my job. My job, I guess, is just to be a rebel rouser and call people. But one more issue, and then I'll sit down, so I probably won't take my whole 3 minutes. It's come to my attention that 2 members of this board have complained about this meeting being televised live on Ustream TV. I know who the members are, but since your attorney's sitting there and I can't use their names, I won't even attempt to. But when 2 things like that happen, what does that make me think about those 2 board members? Why would they not want it televised? Why wouldn't they want it put out there? Because you're trying on this deal with the trichloroethane. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. That's been a little painful getting there, hasn't it, Tony? But we're getting there. And when you actually exchange ideas and communicate, it does work. And I would request to you, and you can, I'll take Jerry's 15 seconds. I would request to you that you look at history and what kind of history you're teaching these kids, because KKK is not a Christian organization.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Michelle Hammond.
Don't worry about it. Get it later.
I got it.
I'm taking more time, sorry about that. I'm Michelle Hammond. Good evening, Dr. Baldwin, Chairman Reinhardt, members of the board. I want to say thank you. Thank you for delving into training on the religious liberties afforded our students and teachers, and thank you for supporting the training for gateways to better education. Thank you for those that participated in the parent and teacher seminars that occurred a few weeks ago. Thank you for continuing to work to make our schools safe places for people of faith.